if the person is too smooth, if the person is too generous, like your first date, you're just getting to know each other and they do just this elaborate thing that is meant to just blow you away, you want to be careful. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Zane, and on this channel I talk about mental health and I make content about how we can become better versions of ourselves. So if that sounds like your thing, please make sure you subscribe right now and give this video a big thumbs up because I already know you're going to enjoy it. Shout out to every single one of you who are subscribed and have been watching my videos and leaving comments. I truly appreciate it. You guys are the best. Recently, Cyrus spoke about how she inherited her narcissism from her father.
I have a terrible memory because I also inherited the narcissism from my father, that I don't know anything about my siblings except for the part that I was doing.
I'm just going to stop right there and say the fact that you can say I inherited narcissism, or that I have narcissistic traits, or that I am a narcissist, the fact that you can just say that is an indication that you most likely are not a narcissist, because narcissists are not self-aware enough to be able to say stuff like that, except in some cases, of course, where narcissists have been to therapy and their therapists have diagnosed them officially. But in most cases, narcissists would not come and say they are narcissistic. In addition to that, narcissists are very afraid of shame, because part of their pathology is the shame they feel within themselves. And so they would never in 1,000 years come and say, I am a narcissist in front of everyone. Like, that is just not in their repertoire. Listening to that made me remember my encounter with a narcissist, like recently. Even though I'm already aware of the way they operate and I try to avoid interactions with people like that, once my radar catches them, sometimes you still cannot avoid people like that. And this particular narcissistic individual, I could not catch it. Although it did send off flags in my head, it sent off alarms in my head, but as sometimes we do not pay attention to ourselves and our instincts, I did not pay attention, and by the time we had just this interaction for a couple of hours, it took me weeks to get over that interaction, the effects of that interaction. How they made me doubt myself, how they made me question everything about myself, how they made me feel shame about who I am as a person, not about any action I've taken or about any life choices, no, just shame about who I am as a person, which is the hallmark of narcissists, right? They make you feel just ashamed of yourself as a person. They make you feel as if you should not exist. They want to say something, but they make sure they say that thing in the most offensive, demeaning manner possible, even if what they're saying itself isn't necessarily offensive or demeaning, right? Like, first of all, they find things to say that are demeaning and offensive and that will put you down. But if they can't find anything like that, whatever they want to say that might be neutral in and of itself, they'll make sure they find the most demeaning, the most offensive way to say it. It's just a shame, really. And once you get past the fact that they made you feel the way you feel, the way they made you feel, and you get past just wishing you'd never even encountered them in the first place, you just kind of feel sorry for them. Anyway, I'm not here to pour shit on the narcissist I encountered, but this just made me remember that encounter. It was quite recent, and yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. That is what they do. They make you doubt yourself. They make you doubt your sanity. They make you feel ashamed, which is basically how they feel on the inside about themselves. They feel a lot of shame. They feel a lot of self-doubt. They feel like they're not enough as individuals. And then they put that on other people. They pour that, because you can only put out what is inside you. A fruit that is fresh will never give out a rotten smell, and will definitely never ooze out rotten liquid from it. I mean, obviously, it's a good thing that recently we've had just a lot more awareness about narcissism, and there are lots of people who talk about it and who, you know, just have dedicated their entire careers to researching and talking about narcissism and enlightening people and educating us and just bringing awareness to this plague, because it is a plague. By the way, if you are interested in learning about narcissism and if you think that you might have had some sort of relationship with a narcissist, then therapy, talking to a counselor, following channels on YouTube that talk about narcissism and that enlighten you even more, like Dr. Ramani, like Surviving Narcissism by Dr. Carter, I believe. Just follow these individuals and you will learn more and more about narcissism. But just off the bat, just in case there's somebody watching who doesn't know anything about narcissism, in addition to the stuff that I already mentioned about them, they're not self-aware, they feel a lot of shame and self-hatred, and then they pour that on people. When you interact with them, you cannot come out of that interaction feeling anything but apprehension and just shame about yourself, especially when you have the guts to be yourself. And even when you make an effort to be polite and to be kind and to be positive and to just validate them in every way you can, they will find ways to invalidate you. They will make you doubt your sanity. They'll make you doubt your reality. They will put you down in whatever way they can. They never take responsibility for anything that goes wrong. Anything that goes wrong. If anything goes right, they did it. It's all due to them. Not because you did the work. Okay, don't get it twisted. You did the work. You came up with the idea. You did all the work that they put on you to do. But when the results come out positive, they won't give you the credit. They'll take all the credit. They'll take all the credit for the work. If things go wrong, even if it was not your idea, it's your fault. If things go wrong, even when you warned them against taking such a step or an action, it's still your fault. Yeah, it's always your fault. And whenever things go wrong, you know the way some people will be like, okay, let's find a way to solve this. Some people will complain, oh my God, why did this go wrong? When narcissists are involved, they don't just complain. They don't even think of solving the problem. No. Their minds go straight to whose fault is it? And if you're the one who's closest, then it's your fault. Okay, it's your fault. That's what they do. They just put blame around. It's never them. They have to do it because they cannot endure the idea that it might in any way be due to their doing that something went wrong. Okay? Even if you're not thinking of blaming them, even if it's not a matter of putting blame, because it's not every time that something goes wrong that there has to be blame put on somebody, but that's just the way they operate. They are never willing to admit their faults. They're never willing to admit that they have character issues. They are never willing to admit that some of their actions might have negative effects on you or on anybody around them, on their children, on their parents, on their co-workers, on just people around them, on their friends. They're never willing to admit that their actions might have negative effects that make people around them, just behave in certain ways. And so when you, many times for people who in long-term relationships with narcissists that have reached a certain breaking point and that begin to feel a lot of anger and rage and just anxiety, depression, things of that sort, it's always that person's problem. That person has a problem. Okay, it's never because they might have tormented them all these years to the point that that person has now just internalized a lot of abuse, and now they just have a lot of rage, they just have a lot of anger, they just have a lot of depression, anxiety. That's the way they're because they're unable to cope with what that narcissist has done to them. No, it's because that person has a problem, because that person is crazy, because that, right? It's a real mess. And narcissists are just everywhere. They're just everywhere. They are everywhere. It's scary the way they are. When it comes to entering into relationships, entering into marriage and all of that. I know I said earlier that if you interact with a narcissist, you can never come out of that interaction feeling anything but apprehension and, self-doubt and maybe shame and sadness and anger and all of that. But sometimes when they target you, they just overwhelm you. They basically just want to overwhelm you. And they just do the most amazing things. And they present themselves as this angelic creatures who are just flawless, who are just perfect, who are just the very object of your fantasies, of the person that you would think that would be perfect for you. If you could just create the person that would be perfect for you, they'll present themselves as that person. And many people will get swept away in that until they get ensnared by the narcissist. And then those narcissists begin to show themselves. So, sometimes you might interact with them in situations like that. And when after the date, you might feel just overwhelmed. You might feel all these butterflies. You might feel, but you won't know that somebody's working on you. Somebody's working you, right? And whenever I talk about these things, I always say we have to be aware, we have to be careful, we have to be aware, we have to be careful. Because there are people like this who hide their true natures and who come after you and try to present themselves in, just ways that are as close to perfect as possible. In fact, too perfect, really, too smooth, too everything positive. And you won't know that they're coming at you because they have nefarious intentions, and you just have to be careful. Which is why I always say this: if you're interested in somebody like romantically, if the person is too smooth, if the person is too generous, like your first date, you've never, you're just getting to know each other, and they do just this elaborate thing that is meant to just blow you away, you want to be careful. Okay, you want to be careful, because what moves like that will do would be to block you from thinking about pertinent things, thinking about the person's character, thinking about the way the person treats other people, thinking about just compatibility issues between you, talking about certain pertinent issues that you should talk about that might affect a relationship down the line, and that you should talk about from the very beginning. All those things, that kind of big elaborate move on a date like that will prevent you from thinking about those things, and it will just make sure that you are mired in just the feelings, the emotions that are elicited by that kind of elaborate date or encounter or whatever. And that's how they are able to lodge themselves into your psyche and grab a hold, so that you won't easily think of important things until it becomes late, unfortunately. Especially if you're the kind of person who is introverted, shy, who is sensitive, who is empathic, because then, in fact, if you're empathic, you're just the perfect victim for a narcissist. Yeah, you are, unfortunately. We just have to be careful. But the whole point is, because there are lots of people who have interacted with narcissists so much that they think that they begin to wonder, am I the narcissist? Am I a narcissistic person? Am I the person who is the problem? Because that narcissist has told them that they're the problem. They always tell them that they're the problem. They always tell them it's their fault. So they get to a point where they think, well, maybe I'm the problem. If you're thinking you're the problem, I guarantee you the real narcissist won't think, am I the problem? They won't. Except if they say it out loud to people as part of a move. Maybe like for a certain kind of PR, for a certain kind of propaganda, to get people to look at them as the victim, if it's that kind of narcissism. But I guarantee you, in their head, they're not thinking, am I the problem? Because they don't know that they're narcissists. They don't possess that level of self-awareness, and they definitely are not interested in having that kind of insight into themselves in order to be able to improve themselves and become better versions of themselves. They're not having that conversation. So if you're having that conversation with yourself, then you're most likely not the narcissist. I've been talking for maybe 15 minutes. If you've never thought to yourself that, am I the narcissist? And throughout this video, you still haven't thought to yourself that, well, it hasn't even occurred to you in the slightest that, maybe I'm the problem. And then just a blip of that, if that hasn't occurred to you at all, then I would beg you to think about it. Okay, I would beg you to think about it, because, yeah, I would just beg you to think about it. If you're able to think about it, that's great. If you're not able to think about it, if you're like, this girl is saying rubbish, please move away, then, well, thank you guys so much for watching this video with me till the very end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Please be nice. If you have not subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe right now and give this video a big thumbs up, because it encourages me to make more videos and it supports me. Shout out to all of you who have subscribed and who keep watching my videos and leaving likes and comments. I truly appreciate it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you next time.